It's August 7th here in Seoul, and I'm Kim Dami. We begin with these stories making the headlines at this hour, starting with the World Scout Jamboree taking place in South Korea's Saemangeum. Because of the extreme heat, events at the campsite have been largely overhauled with various cultural activities added, and the much-anticipated K-pop concert has been rescheduled for Friday in Jeonju City. Seoul City has been selected to host the 2027 World Youth Day. The Pope will also come to the South Korean capital for the Global Catholic Church event for young people. South Korean composer Yoon Han-kyeol has won the 2023 Herbert von Karajan Young Conductors Award. He's the first Korean to be honored with the prize. We start in Saemangeum this morning. The 2023 World Scout Jamboree in South Korea will continue as planned until this Saturday, despite recent challenges, but now with support in various shapes and forms to ensure smooth running for the remaining period. Shin Se-byuk reports.
South Korea will continue with the World Scout Jamboree until August 12th, as planned. That is according to Prime Minister Han on Saturday.
After holding a meeting, we have decided to continue with the Jamboree.
A growing number of participants at this year's Jamboree have been suffering heat-related illnesses due to exposure to extreme heat since it began last Tuesday. The campsite, located on reclaimed land at Saemangeum in Jeollabuk-do province, lacks natural shade. But there has also been criticism over hospital bed shortages, waterlogged conditions, and bad food. With the decision, the South Korean government vowed to go all out to ensure the smooth running of the Jamboree event. The measures include additional medical staff, air-conditioned buses, and cold water. 60 medical personnel, 64 canopies, and 104 air-conditioned buses have also been installed. On top of that, over 930 additional service personnel have been deployed to keep the campsite hygienic. In total, over 330 air-conditioned buses are available and 1,400 service personnel are working at the site. Multiple South Korean companies are also sending supplies. Samsung affiliates are sending mobile toilets, power generators, medical staff, and more. LG affiliates decided to send a total of 200,000 drinks. Other conglomerates, Hyundai, GS, and E-Mart, are offering bread, water, and maintenance personnel. Also, private organizations such as the Korea International Trade Association and the Korea Chamber of Commerce and Industry have decided to send cooling supplies. And the South Korean government said that because of these efforts, things have improved.
Since the decision to fully support the 2023 World Scout Jamboree, the campsite has been gradually stabilizing.
The director of the World Organization of the Scout Movement, Jacob Murray, also said there had been, quote-unquote, increased improvement in conditions after additional resources were made available. From now until the end of the Jamboree, South Korea will continue to operate a temporary task force to address issues raised during the event. Shin Se-byuk, Arirang News.
Now, as the Jamboree continues, its cultural programs have been expanded to beyond Saemangeum. Different regions have stepped in to offer their unique tourist programs for Scout members. Lee Kyung-eun has the details.
From Saemangeum Jamboree to Korea Jamboree. From Monday until the end of the Jamboree, 90 new cultural programs will be added nationwide. The central and local governments are arranging these programs after the extreme heat and management issues seen at the main campsite of Saemangeum prompted President Yoon's directive to expand tourist programs nationwide for all young Scouts to enjoy, including those who pulled out early.
The government has proposed forest tours, temple stays, history lessons, and unique regional programs to the Scout Association, vowing full support for Scouts to take part in programs they wish.
Among the programs, sightseeing in Busan, the candidate city of 2030 World Expo, including the famous Haeundae Beach, the iconic Mud Festival in Poryong, a science tour at the country's tech capital, Daejeon, including an astronomical observatory and National Science Museum. and at the historic city of Gyeongju, a Confucian Academy, and UNESCO heritage sites, including Bulguksa Temple.
For the usual programs, scouts need to come back to their tents in Saemangam at 5 p.m. in principle. But because some locations are far, we've also prepared places for them to stay elsewhere for 2 or 3 day schedules.
Seoul is also taking scouts to major shopping districts and on a night view bus tour, as the city is also considering turning the Hangang River Park into a makeshift camping site. The capital cities where scouts from the UK are staying after they pulled down from Saemangam. And it's also close to Pyeongtaek, where scouts from the US are staying at a US military base, Camp Humphreys. On top of these, the organizers, despite delaying the K-pop concert over heat-related safety concerns, will hold the most anticipated event on the last day of Jamboree on the 11th at Jeonju World Cup Stadium. Yoon, Arirang News.
So American and British Scout members have made their way out of the campground. But still, they've discovered ways to keep themselves entertained here in the country. And those who remain are carrying on with their activities with a Scout spirit. Shin Ha-young has more.
Contingents from the US, Britain, and Singapore who decided to leave the World Scout Jamboree campsite all left for their new accommodations over the weekend. The group from the US, consisting of around 1,500 members, left Saemangam on Sunday and moved to Camp Humphreys, an American military garrison in Pyeongtaek of Gyeonggi-do province, citing ongoing extreme weather and conditions at the site. The 4,400 British Scout members, the largest contingent of all the participating countries, began departing from the site on Saturday, with their remaining members set to leave on Monday. They will stay in Seoul until the end of the Jamboree, which will run until Saturday. During their remaining time in South Korea, they will experience a variety of cultural activities, including a tour program honoring British veterans of the Korean War. Part of the group took city tour buses and enjoyed the night view in Seoul on Sunday.
We've been to see temples, we've been to see palaces, we've been experiencing the street food culture, so many different cultural experiences that are so different to our own back in the UK. So we're really, really enjoying being here.
Meanwhile, almost 90% of the participating countries have decided to continue with the Jamboree at Saemangam. European countries, including Belgium, which had considered an early departure, as well as Germany and Sweden, have decided to stay at the campsite, citing significant improvements in food and hygiene. Some delegations from countries like the Philippines, Saudi Arabia, and Argentina held a press conference to announce that they will remain until the end of the event.
We are seeing around the site some improvements. We had the word of the leadership of the government that things will be improved.
The remaining scouts have been traveling around 14 cities and counties in Jeollabuk-do province, enjoying various activities such as archery and search and rescue missions.
For us, it was a very beautiful day today. We had a lot of tips how can we rescue in case of water emergencies, as well as indoor emergencies like fire, earthquakes, and all these things.
The event has now reached a halfway point, and efforts have been made to ensure the remainder of the event is a success. Shin Ha-young, Arirang News.
This summer has been a dreadful one, and just when we thought the heat wave was the last thing to worry about this season, now there's a typhoon on the way. For more, we're joined by Professor Yoon this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Professor Yoon, let's talk about the unusual heat this summer. First off, why did so many people taking part in the World Scout Jamboree struggle under the sun and come down with heat-related illnesses?
Well, as everyone in Korea experienced these days, scorching heat and high humidity are the deadliest combinations. But heat is everywhere in Korea these days. But the humidity, due to that the Saemangam is lowland, meaning that there's not much of the shadow, plus it's known to have a very bad drainage systems, meaning that the moisture stay in the topsoil. plus the sunlight, that's going to evaporation, meaning that around where we are going to have a very, very, very high humidity. So these two combinations, it just makes things a lot worse than everyone can imagine.
Right. Everybody here in the country has been experiencing this high humidity, but especially over in Saemangam, because of the geographic characteristics with no shade, the situation got even worse.
That's right. That's right.
Now, the event, nonetheless, has been rearranged with a variety of tourism programs, but, the weather still remains a concern. Are the participants, would you say, are they safe from the blistering heat now? I mean, what should they still be mindful of in this hot, humid weather?
Well, hopefully they send some more equipment, including like the air-conditioned buses. Mm-hmm. So after they do the outside activity, which is okay to do so up to a certain amount of time, but after that activity, just take extra time to take rest and hydrate it. When you hydrate it, not only drinking water, but better be sometimes a sports drink, because our body needs those the substances. So take some good rest during, in between the activities, and then just lower down your body temperature as much as you can, and then you have to take some good rest. Yes.
Right. Enough water. It's no exaggeration to say enough water and frequent breaks in between.
That's right. That's right.
Now, Professor Yoon, we have this entire week that is supposed to be still hot, but with rain showers in the middle. Now, will rain showers be the only trouble thing to trouble the Scouts now?
Until the end of this week, we are going to still have very high temperatures. Mm-hmm. This is for sure. But then time to time, we have these thunderstorms. But more importantly, this Typhoon Khanun is expected to land near Busan area. So although the Saemangam is far away, but likely entire South Korea will be affected by this typhoon. So please take extra cautions, and you have to stay tuned for upcoming weather news and forecast.
Right. You mentioned Typhoon Khanun is on the way. Now, it's forecast to hit the South Korea's southern region as early as this Thursday. Let's talk about this typhoon itself. Why such a change in its course northward from the west of Japan?
This typhoon is, the path is very strange. It's basically going zigzag. Even several days ago, the track forecast has a diversity of more than 1,000 kilometers away. So one center is going this way, the other center going the other directions. But now all the centers are coming to a bit of consensus, meaning that around Tuesday, Wednesday, the typhoon will head north, and it passed through Kyushu of Japan in Wednesday, and on Thursday, it will be somewhere near Korea. It may land it as we forecast right now, but we still have to be sure. We have to check very frequently where it actually lands and then how strong it can be.
Right. This Typhoon Khanun is very unpredictable, right?
Yes, it's very unpredictable, yes.
Now, Professor Yoon, you just mentioned the entire nation may be under the influence of this Typhoon Khanun this week. Now then, how likely is it that the typhoon will move up and impact the Jamboree event?
So as I said, whether typhoon lands near Busan or just it doesn't land actually or going outside of near the shore area, those people in Saemangam or in Jamboree, please just don't care where it actually goes. You are going to have a very strong rains and very strong winds on Thursday. So, and then you are not staying. Those people in Jamboree, they don't stay in the inside the building. They stay in tent. Mm-hmm. You know what does it mean that when there's a rain and then the winds, staying in tent is going to be very difficult. So. When it comes to the point that you have to take some actions, just please go ahead to do so. but then just keep watching this weather forecast and the weather news and where it goes and how strong, and then what's the action that you have to take.
Definitely. Professor Yoon, thank you so much for your insight this morning. You have a good week.
Thank you very much.
Seoul has been chosen to host a global Catholic Church event for young people, World Youth Day, in 2027. Now, up to 1 million people are expected to attend the event, with the Pope himself also set to visit. Lee Seung-jae reports.
At the closing mass for the 2023 World Youth Day in Lisbon, Portugal, Pope Francis announced the host city for the next World Youth Day.
The next World Youth Day will take place in Asia. It will be in South Korea, in Seoul.
The World Youth Day brings together young people from around the world in celebration of their Catholic faith. The massive event runs for 5 or 6 days, with the reigning Pope also in attendance. Seoul will become the first Asian city to host the event since Manila in 1995, where over 5 million people attended the event's closing mass. Seoul's Archdiocese estimates that around 700,000 to 1 million Catholics will be in attendance for the Seoul World Youth Day, with 300,000 traveling to South Korea.
Since in the past 3 years we have undergone a COVID situation in Korea, sadly the number of people going to church in Korea has declined. And we sincerely hope that throughout preparations and also during World Youth Day, it will be a great opportunity to develop and mature our youth ministry. So that's what I'm hoping for as our journey begins for the preparation for World Youth Day.
The announcement comes as Cardinal Andrew Yum-Soo-jung and Archbishop Peter Jung-Sung-taek of the Seoul Archdiocese traveled to Lisbon last Monday to make a pitch for Seoul. Cardinal Lazaro Yoo-Heung-sik, prefect of the Congregation for the Clergy of the Holy See, and Oh Hyun-ju, the South Korean ambassador to the Holy See, also took part in the pitch. The event is also expected to provide a massive boost to the local economy. The Lisbon World Youth Day is expected to have been worth about $622 million. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
South Korea's Yoon Han-kyeol won the 2023 Herbert von Karajan Young Conductors Award on Sunday. He's the first Korean to be recognized with such honor. During the award concert weekend at the 2023 Salzburg Festival in Austria, Yoon took the top prize ahead of competitors from Belarus and Austria. He wins a cash prize of $16,500 and also the opportunity to conduct a concert with the ORF Radio Symphony Orchestra Vienna and a rising young soloist as part of the 2024 Salzburg Festival. The Von Karajan Award is considered a launchpad for a conductor's international career. Now, we have an American couple who lived in Korea back in the 1960s and 70s as members of the Peace Corps, an American volunteer organization. This couple recently donated more than 1,000 pictures, old paintings, and books that carry stories of Korea from years and years ago. Our culture correspondent Song Yoo-jin met them.
For Gary and Marianne Mintier, Korea holds a special place in their hearts.
I always say Udinada. We weren't born here, but it's Udinada.
Back in 1969, the Mintiers came to Korea as Peace Corps volunteers and worked as English instructors for 6 years. During that time, they developed a keen interest in old Korean artworks.
When I was in college, I took one art course, and it had a little bit of Asian art. And I liked it then. And then when we came to Korea, we didn't have a lot of money at first, but when I could, I would buy a certain piece of art that I'd seen in a store, and my wife would buy me one for anniversaries and birthdays.
Their collection grew to include a total of 150 books, paintings, and calligraphic works. Among them is a painting by Song Soo-myeon, a renowned painter of the late Joseon dynasty. However, this year, the Mintiers made the decision to donate all their cherished pieces to Korea, including 1,000 photos they took during their stay, which captured Korea's struggle to heal the scars of war.
We were really fortunate to be in Korea at that time when many Koreans had other priorities, right? And art wasn't necessarily one of them. And so I said, it's time to give them back to Korea. I mean, Korea gave us so much while we were here and even afterwards.
The Overseas Korean Cultural Heritage Foundation has played a crucial role.
We first learned about the Mintiers collection in 2017 through an instructor at the University of Southern California. Over the years, we built a strong sense of trust through email exchanges, which I think ultimately led to this generous donation.
Marking the occasion, the Mintiers have returned to Korea, their third visit after departing in 1975. The most recent was 2013. They say they're always amazed by the remarkable progress Korea has made. But one thing remains unchanged.
The Korean people are still the same. They still have that warmth, that heart, that giving that they had that made us stay when we came, right?
Yeah, most Peace Corps volunteers came for 2 years. We stayed 6.5 years.
The photographs taken by the Mintiers are currently on display at the Busan Museum, while the artworks will be unveiled at the National Library of Korea in Seoul next April. 송유진, Arirang News.
Good morning, I'm Matthew Ashley, and we now turn over to stories from around the world. We begin in Crimea, where airstrikes from Ukraine on Sunday have damaged 2 road bridges. Ukraine has claimed responsibility for the strikes, one of which struck the Chonha road bridge that links mainland-occupied Ukraine to Crimea. A smaller bridge linking the town of Henichesk with the peninsula's northeast coast was also struck, damaging a nearby gas pipeline. No deaths or injuries have been reported, and the bridges are expected to reopen soon. The strikes come a day after a wave of Russian missile and drone attacks on Ukraine, where at least 6 people died and a blood transfusion center was destroyed in Kupiansk. Now, in Pakistan, at least 30 people have been killed and 100 injured after a train derailed on Sunday local time. The train was headed from Karachi to Havelian when it came off the tracks near Nawab Shah in the southern Sindh province. It was carrying over 1,000 passengers and was reportedly traveling at normal speed. The cause of the crash is being investigated. Pakistan's railway system has a poor safety record, and such accidents are not uncommon. In 2021, at least 40 people died after 2 trains collided in the same province. 2023 Women's World Cup favourites, Team USA, have been knocked out of the tournament. They were beaten 5-4 on penalties in Melbourne on Sunday, following a goalless draw with Sweden. The US dominated most of the match, but couldn't find the back of the net, thanks to Sweden's keeper. The match moved on to penalties, where 3 US players, including Megan Rapinoe, missed their spot kicks. Sweden's winning penalty by Lina Hurtig initially looked like it had been saved, but goal line technology confirmed that the ball had crossed the goal line. South Africa, meanwhile, has had its World Cup dreams ended following a 2-0 defeat to the Netherlands in Sydney. Sweden will face Japan in the quarterfinals, while the Netherlands will face Spain. And finally, in a social media post on Sunday, Elon Musk has said that a potential cage match between him and Meta owner Mark Zuckerberg will be streamed on his social media platform X, and that all of the match's proceeds would go to a charity for veterans. Zuckerberg responded by recommending that a different platform be used. The date of the proposed fight has not been set, but Zuckerberg has suggested August 26th. It's also been suggested that the mixed martial arts fight will be held in Las Vegas. Talk of the match began in June when Musk tweeted that he was up for a cage match with the Meta owner. Zuckerberg replied a day later, asking Musk to send location of the proposed fight.
Good morning. Heavy rain is dumping 80 millimeters an hour in the east of Gangwon-do province since last night. It could come down at a rate of up to 200 millimeters into tomorrow with a rain advisory issued. Other than rain-affected areas, the rest of the country is sizzling in intense heat. Western parts of the country will be hotter this afternoon with daytime highs easily surpassing 35 degrees Celsius. There is a chance of passing rain in most regions which won't help to relieve the heat, but will only add steamy heat to the air. Saemangeum in Buang County will continue to have high heat at 36 degrees Celsius or 97 degrees Fahrenheit under sunny skies. Meanwhile, Typhoon Khanun changed its course and is now heading towards the Korean peninsula. For now, the weather agency is forecasting that Khanun could strike the coastal regions of Gyeongsang-namdo by Thursday afternoon, and from Wednesday, southern regions will start to have the stormy weather. So please stay updated with the latest weather forecast. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the international weather conditions.
We thank you for watching New Day at Arirang. We'll be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. Korea time.